I guess it's just us.
All right. Well, he gets it all on his own today.
We talk about personalized individual instruction, huh? All right, well, I will share my screen. And hopefully everything will work. So this is being recorded. I don't know if you noticed that or not when you logged in or not, but I figured I'll record it for anybody who doesn't make it. Like 2/3 of the class. All right. So yeah, this is writing performance evaluations. You've already been through the process, so this is more of a refresher for you. Maybe answer any questions that you may have. It's in eTree form. That's hard to say. It's an eTree form. If you have any issues with that form, let me know, because I just happen to be the eTree administrator for that form as well. Haven't had too many issues with it recently. We've made a few updates, made it better, and we just keep pressing on. Know that there is no direct tie to compensation as a result of an evaluation. The supervisor, part of what we do, and you'll see this later on, is we recommend an employee for step increase. But that is not a guarantee that the employee is going to get a step increase, because step increases are dependent on the board's decisions. But I guess it's just more of a show of good faith that hey, we're going to recommend it so that if it does happen, you're going to get it. Okay.
Yeah, and we used to do a lot more step placement, Travis, and now, our scale's so far behind, we're really trying to focus more on increasing the scale. So it really hasn't come into play in the last few years.
All right, the first part of the form, again, you've already done this, so it's pretty simple. The part that I think I need to highlight is this big red box down here that says, if the originator wants to delete this form from their inbox, you click that checkbox and submit it. And what this is designed for is, a lot of times people will submit a form and it'll get returned to them for correction. And instead of correcting the one that was returned to them and submitting it again, they'll create a new one and submit that one. And then they're left with the original one stuck in their inbox. So rather than having to go through me or Teresa to get that form removed, I added this checkbox so that you just click that checkbox, submit it, and it'll come straight to me, and I'll throw it in the trash. Okay. The leave form has one of these on there as well. So a lot of people will click that checkbox when they first initiate their leave form, and it comes straight to me. I can't approve their leave. So other than that, yeah, the evaluation start date, the end date, the date administered, we don't expect that to be filled out by the originator. That's usually one of the last parts of the form to be filled in. When you get to the key responsibilities area, a lot of people will have questions about, where do I get these? Do I just copy them from another evaluation, or where should I get these? The best place to get these key responsibilities is to log into People Admin and pull these key responsibilities from the essential job functions. And I'll just show you where that is real quick. I think I have, there we go. All right, can you see that screen? All right. I wasn't sure if Teams shared a screen or if it shared an
application. He's going to have to get familiar with this soon, huh, Travis?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be hiring here soon.
If I remember my password. Yay! All right, so once you log into People Admin, you're going to come up here to the three dots, the shish kebab, up in the top left corner, and then you're going to select Position Management. Once it changes over to the Position Management screen, you're going to come up here to Position Descriptions, click the drop down, and then depending on what type of position.
These are hourly, so just click the hourly
Yeah,
one.
so hourly, that's the only one I have access to anyway. So, but you select whichever category. Once you get in there, you'll have a list of all of your positions, and then you just click on this position title link. And then you scroll down. Not this. This is required knowledge. This isn't the area we're looking for. We're looking for essential job functions. And then you can just select all of these, copy them and paste them over into the eTree form. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one has 9. And you can expand this to 10 rows by clicking this add blank row. So you would paste the first bullet in here, add a row, paste a second bullet, add a row. If there are more than 10, then you're going to have to find a couple that are kind of similar and combine those into the same field. Okay. Didn't want to make this infinite number of rows just because if it's more than 10, nobody's going to read it anyway. Okay. So that's where you get your key responsibilities. And there's a note down here, and I think this is going to be covered later on in the presentation too, but if you select needs improvement over here on the rating, then you must submit a performance improvement plan along with the evaluation. And you get that performance evaluation or performance improvement plan from Jackie Thomas. Okay.
Because we don't publish that kind of forms on our website, so.
Yeah, the PIP is not out there, and neither is the disciplinary form. You get both of those from Jackie. So yeah, that's what I just showed you. Key responsibilities from people admin. The next section is the college competencies. These are the same for all employees. For staff members, they're all the same. For faculty, they're a little bit different, but you don't need to worry about those. Essentially all the same, just a little bit different wording because of the way their positions are set up. So you just go through these, and again, you make your rating, meets, needs, or NA. We do have an NA in here because depending on how long a person has been here, they may not meet the level of evaluation for any of these given categories. And then this bottom one, you must have, every employee must have current EEO and cybersecurity training dates. And if you're not sure what their dates are, you can shoot me an email. I'll pull their dates and send them back to you. All right, for the supervisor and manager comments, these must be completed before the form is sent to the employee. A supervisor's recommendation for a step increase is also part of this section of the form. There's the supervisor comments. If they have an existing performance improvement plan, you make that choice here. Recommend for a step increase, you make that choice here. And one of the things that goes along with this is if you recommend them for a step increase, then these statements in here should reflect performance that would be deserving of a step increase. If you select no step increase at this point, then these statements in here must reflect that as well. Okay. So you can't say, yes, they're gold, they walk on water here, and then say, no, I don't want to get a step increase. They don't match. Once it gets to the second level manager, they'll make their choice here as to whether or not they concur, and they'll add their comments. Second level manager comments aren't required. And if someone higher than the second level manager wants to add comments, they'll do that in the history part of the form. So you might want to check that as it comes back to you and see if there are any comments made in the history. Normally, if a change has been made or something has been added to the history, it'll show up with a red dot in the corner. Okay, or an attachment will show up on a red dot in the corner. Blah, 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 blah. Yep, just talked about that. Must be hard-hitting, honest comments. We don't want stories. We want straight to the point bullet statements and real achievements, actual things that they've done, not just, well, they showed up to work every day on time. That's not a good bullet statement. If you can include numbers, raw data, things of that nature, they assisted 5,000 customers this year or whatever. I don't know if that's something you can track or keep, numbers on, but that's the kind of stuff we're looking for.
And we know since you're new, Travis, you may have to give more, generalized bullets too, because you could, put a comment that says, you just took over, you're limited, what do you call it? God, I just lost the word. Observations of the persons are limited because you've only been in the position X number of, of months. And you can put that on there as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's hard for people. Oh, I've been here a month and I got to give you an evaluation for your performance over the year,
Well, he can request that they give him a list of achievements throughout the year too.
Yeah.
And just because you didn't witness it doesn't mean they didn't do it.
So if they say they won the Nobel Peace Prize, you have to take their word for it.
Well, within reason.
I know.
Yeah. And then of course, Tammy, might know the employees. I mean, I don't know. She would definitely know if there was a problem with an employee.
Right.
Let's put it like that.
Right.
Yeah. All right. I kind of already went over this. Generally, if an employee meets a majority of the expectations, then they should be recommended for a step increase. If they haven't met multiple or key expectations for the job, then you can recommend no increase. But again, you're going to have to put that corresponding statements in the comments area. Yep, I just said that. September 1st, step or pay increases, like I said at the beginning, are contingent upon the Board of Trustees approval. They don't always approve step increases. Sometimes they do. That's why you can't guarantee that the employee's gonna get a pay raise just because you put it on their evaluation form. And that's probably something that should be briefed when you brief them on the evaluation. Make sure that they understand that. Employee comments at the bottom are not required. It goes to the employee, but we don't make them add comments if they don't want to. All they have to do is read it, listen to what you have to say about it, and then once it gets to them, they can add comment. They can put no comment. But when they're done with it, they have to click the approve. Now this can be a bit of a stumbler for some employees, especially if they're not, we'll say, the stellar employee. They may not want to click approve because they don't approve of their evaluation. Them clicking approve doesn't mean they approve with the evaluation. It's more of an approval that they received the evaluation. So if you ever have an employee who doesn't want to click the approve button because they think they should deserve something better, feel free to give me a call. I can make that form move without them. Okay. All right. Annual evaluations must be completed and submitted to, you don't send them straight to Doreen, but you'll send them to Employment Services no later than March 21st. If it's a newer employee and they received an evaluation after October 1st of last year, then you don't have to do another one for them in March. They'll ride this one out until next March.
Okay. So like in Maribel's case, I don't have to do one in March for her.
Correct.
Okay.
Faculty dates, you don't care about faculty dates. Employees hired after March 1st will not be eligible for the 9-1 step increase. Employees must receive a performance evaluation with a step increase recommendation, or if they're currently on an improvement plan, they must meet that improvement plan by June 30th before they can be eligible to receive a step increase. All right, and the training evaluations. Every new employee must be evaluated at the end of their training period. Again, if no increase is recommended, the employee must successfully complete an improvement plan to receive that end of training incentive. If no increase recommendation or if a successful PIP has been completed by June 30th, then they're not eligible for the 9-1 step increase. Okay. Shelley, this is on the PSF, right? Oh yeah, look, part of the PSF.
Yeah, I was like, that ain't the evaluation.
Yeah, this is, we put this in here because, um, didn't it used to be on evaluation or something? This probably doesn't really need to be in here
No.
anymore.
It's just so they kind of know, like after, because we have ended training and we have the annuals on here. For the end of training, I do a PSF. You don't ever have to initiate it. And I do the evaluation. A part-time employee, only gets one step, but if you've ordered or hired a brand new employee that was never worked at CTC, then I would evaluate their education and experience to see if whether they'd get one step or two steps. Now, if it's an internal person, it's a whole different set of rules. If it's somebody going to a higher position, we take their current rate of pay, times it by 5%, and give them a minimum of step 3 when they go into the position. So we'll always kind of verify that for you. If somebody is a lateral move and they're going from the same pay category as they were already in, they just retain their steps, so their pay doesn't change at all. So, and I know we might run into that with this textbook buyer, because I know you do have a couple internal people that applied. So, yep. So that's just so you can kind of see what it is, and you'll see the PSF the next time you have an ended training.
Okay.
All right. There you go. And that's pretty much what Shelley just said. And you said you initiate the evaluation for these.
No, not the PSF.
PSF, okay.
So they'll get a PSF and they'll be like, oh, do I need to do an evaluation? It's like, yes.
Yes.
You can approve the PSF as soon as you get it because it has to go to budget. But the evaluation will just go into the chain of command. But you'll start that right away.
All right, some do's and don'ts for writing evaluations. First and foremost, be honest. Make sure that the employee is informed of any I don't know, irregularities, inconsistencies, errors, boo-boos, faux pas at the time the incident occurs. If they did something 6 months ago, they shouldn't be finding out at the evaluation time for the first time that they did something wrong. Okay. The sooner the better. And
Right.
again, document. If it's not documented, it never happened. What form of documentation is really up to you. And make sure that the evaluation covers, or the evaluation covers the entire year. So you want to look at their behaviors throughout the whole year. And one thing goes wrong doesn't necessarily warrant a bad evaluation. One thing going wrong shouldn't justify a needs improvement in any of those categories. So you want to kind of balance things out and figure out what the rating should be. Okay. Don't embellish and sugarcoat things. Like I said earlier, this has nothing to do really with them getting a pay increase, unless you choose to put that they shouldn't get a pay increase. Then it will if we get a step increase. But you don't want to make things that are bad seem really good. And like I said earlier, you should never surprise them with negative feedback at evaluation time. If somebody gets and needs improvement in any area of the evaluation, they should be expecting that to be coming. That shouldn't be news to them. Okay.
Okay.
All right, the performance improvement plan. Again, you can get this from Jackie Thomas. She'll ship it to you via PDF form in your email. You can just print it out, or I don't remember if it's a fillable form or not. It might be. But you got to print it out so that everybody can sign it, because that is part of the performance improvement plan. You sign going into it, and then you sign going out of it. But it's fairly simple. You'll list in this first column what the key responsibility or core competency that they're not meeting. You'll put in a second column what it should look like, what they should be doing. And then any recommendations, actions, or experiences that they can have, or should be, God, I'm losing my words here. Things that they should be completing or complying with in order to meet this key competency. Okay. And then you'll list available resources, whatever they may be. And then you'll put the start date in the start date column. And this column is really pretty important, especially for us supervisors. You're going to put how often you're going to check in with them. If you're going to check in daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever the case may be, you'll put that in here. It should never just be a single date. If it's something that they did and you only need to follow up with them one time, then it may not actually be severe enough to need a PIP.
Right.
So how often you're going to check in with them, and then the target finish date, how long you expect it to take for them to turn things around and start meeting this objective. And then you'll put the actual finish date in here. Down here, you're going to put how you're going to measure how well they're meeting these goals. Okay. So for each needs improvement, you'll have a line on this performance improvement plan. So this will be one needs improvement. This will be another needs improvement, and however many lines you need to add on to that. Okay. Another important part of this is, as supervisors, it's our job to make sure that we are following up with this employee. If we don't, it doesn't make the employee look bad. It makes us look bad, because it's our job to help them return to a productive employee. Okay. Signatures, like I said, are required on initiating the PIP, the employee signature and the supervisor signature. The employee will be eligible for 9-1 step increase if they complete it by June 30th, as I mentioned earlier. And then once that the finish date has arrived, you'll put whether or not they've met the improvement plan, and then you'll both sign it. And then you'll put down here whether or not they completed it before June 30th. I said this just a minute ago. Oops. Supervisors must adhere to the check-in schedule and other agreements made. If you're going to list yourself as a resource for them to get better, then you have to make yourself available for them. You have to track their success or failure. It's not up to them to track their success or failure on this. Send a copy of the completed PIP to Jackie Thomas, or contact Jackie if the employee fails to meet the PIP. Failure to complete and submit the PIP will be reported to the Vice Chancellor, whichever Vice Chancellor you fall under, because they take these things pretty seriously. Like I said, we want to give our employees the opportunity to correct their inconsistencies and return to the productive workforce. And that's our job to do that. All right, conducting the meeting for the evaluation. Number one, begin with positive feedback. You should never come in and tell them, all right, sit down. I'm going to drop the hammer on you right now. Welcome them in, acknowledge them as a productive or an important, a valuable employee. If they've done anything stellar, make sure you make a note of that. Not just, all right, come on in, let's sit down and have a chat. I really appreciate you coming to work every day on time. That's not really, I mean, for some people, I guess it is. I guess it depends on what their rating was under that particular core competency. But yeah, make sure that they understand that even though, you got some boo-boo areas on your evaluation, you're still a valuable and valued employee. Okay. Get them comfortable. And then focus on action taking. Don't focus on them. You know, man, you really screwed up. I can't believe you did what you did. Try and avoid the you statements.
Yeah.
And focus on, yeah, this is what you did. Now, here's what we're going to do to get things turned around and make you the more valuable employee than you already are. Okay. If they're on a PIP or if you're initiating a PIP, make sure you thoroughly discuss that PIP. Again, nothing should be a surprise. They should know exactly what's happening. They need to know exactly what they have to do in order to meet that PIP. Encourage them to, just strive forward. Don't let this drag you down. It's not the end of a career. It's just a way for us to identify your weak areas, and we want to make you stronger. And avoid discussing motivation or personal issues. Motivation it's kind of an unusual thing in the workplace because there are different viewpoints on where motivation should come from. I'm a firm believer that motivation should come from within, but not everybody is self-motivated. So they might need a little encouragement, but encouragement isn't really motivation. Okay. And if they start bringing out personal issues, just kind of put a stop to that. If they start talking anything about their health or their family issues, put a stop to that and set them up with an appointment with Jackie Thomas to discuss anything that may be necessary for accommodation reasons. If they're having personal issues, we understand that we all have personal issues, but when you come to work, you have to come to work to do your job. So, but we have, Jackie's here to help for things like that. We have what's the new office name for Nadia's folks, Shelley? You're muted. Can't read lips.
I knew that. My phone kept ringing. Gosh, it's like the wellness group. And Jackie will a lot of times will refer people over there if they need to have like a counseling session. We do have 2 licensed counselors that are on staff.
Yeah.
They're right across the street from you in that tiny little building next to the Anderson Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
We keep giving these new department titles that are so long. I'm like, I can't even remember them.
They should have left.
Yeah. Wellness and Counseling Service. She's the Director of Wellness and Counseling with Student Success and Persistence. So she falls under Julie Starkey.
But she's there for employees as well, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it used to be student and employees, blah, 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 something.
Assistance program or something like that.
Yeah, it's an assistance program. So going beyond the personal issues, let them discuss their feelings and reactions to what's happening, with their evaluation. They may be very, very upset because they got a needs improvement. And even though they've had some bumps in the road coming to this point, maybe they didn't think it was that serious. So if they're upset, acknowledge that. Let them discuss their feelings. But again, try not to get too personal into this. Focus on the task and what can be done to make it better. And actively listen. Let them say what they have to say. If they're going to get upset and start, I wouldn't let them cuss you out or nothing like that, but let them speak their piece. A lot of times that's all that they need. Okay. And discuss objectives for the upcoming year. So, this is where we are, and this is where we want you to be, and this is how we want you to get there. Give them all the information that they need, so that next year's evaluation is better than this year's. All right, for approvals and employee comments, you've probably already done a lot of these. But for the direct supervisor, you'll put in last name, comma, space, first name. Very important that you search by last name, comma, space, first name. If you do first name, last name, it's going to be sent to this person's student account. And we have people here with student accounts who have never been students. I'm not sure how that happened. So yeah, last name, first name, and then you click the search button and it'll show up all available options down here. Make sure you pick the correct one with the CTCD email address. For the second level supervisor, same thing. If there isn't really a second level supervisor, then you're going to want to put the direct supervisor's name in here twice. I don't really have a second level supervisor anymore, do I?
No.
Yeah,
And
so
very few people do, but Travis is one of them that will.
yeah. So you'll be the direct supervisor, and then what, Tammy?
Tammy, yeah.
Tammy
And
will
then
be the
Larry.
second level supervisor, and then it'll go to the executive officer.
Well, it goes to Larry, actually.
Larry's the executive officer.
Well, kind of, not really, but you know.
Well,
we can change the title
he's the
now.
associate vice chancellor, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that his title? Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. So
He's like a division director.
yeah. All right. So yeah, that's pretty important. And then at the bottom of this, just to look at the history as it goes through, it has to have two different supervisory level approvals. Okay, minimum of 2. I didn't include it in this screenshot. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Give me just a sec. Because it happens frequently just because, I don't know, people get into a rush. Or what, but on the bottom, I'll just do a quick screenshot. Yeah. So at the bottom here, where it has in big blue letters, employee being evaluated, many times the supervisor will put their name in here again. And then they'll wonder why the employee never got a copy of their evaluation. And that's why. Okay, so make sure this is the employee. I guess specifically for your part-timers, if you search for them by last name, comma space first name, and it comes up with no results, a little red flag will come up here and says employee doesn't exist or something like that.
Mhm.
That just means that that employee has never logged into eTrieve as an employee. And we have that happen with part-timers quite a bit. They'll log into eTrieve using their Gmail, and that'll get them into the public area. Because part-timers, they don't need leave forms. If they need a time and effort record, that's in the public area. So yeah, part-time employees can go a year without ever logging in as an employee. So if you do that search for the employee down here and it says employee doesn't exist, have them log into eTrieve using their CTC email address, not their ID number. Because, well, calling me or sending me an email, I can't fix that. That's something they have to do. They don't even show up in my user list in eTrieve until after they've signed in as an employee. Okay. All right. So here's the approval workflow. The originator, whoever that may be, a lot of times it's just us supervisors initiate the form, but sometimes an office assistant or somebody else will initiate it. And it'll go from the originator to the direct supervisor. If you're the direct supervisor and the originator, you're going to send it to yourself. So you can pick at which level you decide to make your evaluation choices. After that, it goes to the second level supervisor. Again, if there is no second level supervisor, it'll go back to the direct supervisor again. Then it goes to the third level supervisor, which is the associate deputy chancellor, which is associate vice chancellor now, or dean for approval. Then it goes back to the direct supervisor, because we want to make sure that if we put in here that the employee walks on gold, but one of these two people said, I can't believe this employee isn't worth the dirt that he walks on, then we have some conflicting issues, and we want to make sure that they kind of coincide before it goes on to the employee. Then it goes to the employee being evaluated. Then it comes back to the direct supervisor. And we have it come back to the supervisor after this step because we've had instances in the past where an employee will change their ratings and they'll change comments. Yeah, it happens.
I thought those were locked.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get an example of this here. I use one of mine. That way I'm not violating anybody's privacy. All right. So once you get into this area, you can go to history, come down here to history, and you're going to change from package history to audit history. And then whatever field you click in, it'll show any changes that were made. So this little, when you click on view changes, it gives you this little eye. It'll tell you that this was set to meets on March 21st by Shelly Gonzalez. If there's something in here where a change was made, right? And for these, it's pretty simple. You'll know whether your employee was set to meet standards or needs improvement. So if you click on one of these and it has more than one entry, then you know that they went in and made a change. And that's a serious incident when that happens. And it's on all of these, even on the comments. You can come in here and you can see if changes were made. Okay. No changes made. One entry. We don't like that we have to show this to everybody, but it's there for that particular reason.
Right.
All right. And again, if the employee fails to click approve here because they don't agree with it, you can try and talk to them, say, look, approving the form isn't agreeing with the form or the ratings. It's just approving or acknowledging the fact that you received it and you read it. But if they refuse to approve it, give me a call or shoot me an email. All I need is the employee's ID number and I can move it from their inbox to yours.
Okay.
And then once you approve it for the last time, it goes to HR. And there's the audit history that I just showed you. So here's one where it was changed. It's changed from needs improvement to meets. And here's another one that was changed from yes or from no to yes. All right, there you go. Any questions?
No, seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
And Scott has great videos out there under
Okay.
his video section of training that basically can walk you through it again if you need to get a refresher about anything.
Yeah, and I'm going to update those too, probably next week. So,
Gotcha.
all right.
So staff and employees don't do any type of self-evaluation prior to the main evaluation.
No, I mean, you can ask them to, but no. And you don't have to wait for the annual reporting period to do an evaluation. You can do interim evaluations anytime you want to. If you see somebody starting to slip out of the track and they're going to need some guidance, you can pull up an evaluation and you just mark it as an interim evaluation. Because there's three different types. There's annual, 3-year, and interim. So you just pull it up and make it an interim evaluation, fill it out just like you normally would, identify their, the weak areas, the strong areas. You don't put them on a PIP at this time. You just use the evaluation to identify some weak areas and say, look, we need you to start bringing this up so that we don't end up back here, in 6 months or whatever, when their yearly or annual evaluation comes up.
Gotcha. Okay.
And anytime you start having problems, Jackie Thomas, she's there to kind of guide you through anything that you may have.
No worries.
happen.
Okay. That's good.
All right. Well, appreciate you being here, Travis. And,
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah, we'll see you around campus, I guess.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All righty.
All right.
Well, you take care, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.